Have you ever stopped to think about how an AI goes from something simple, like recognizing a picture of a cat, to something incredibly complex, like, I don't know, planning your entire next vacation? It's a huge leap, right? It's the difference between just knowing something and actually doing something. So let's dive into that journey and see how an AI really learns to think, to plan, and to act.
So how does that happen? I mean, really, how does an AI learn to make a whole sequence of smart decisions to get to a complicated goal? It's not just about cramming it full of data. No, it's about teaching it a strategy, a way to navigate a world of endless choices to find the path to success.
At its core, there are really two main ways to teach an AI. The first is teaching by example. That's what we call supervised learning. It's like showing it a million photos of cats until it gets what a cat is. But the real magic, the secret sauce for complex behavior, is teaching by experience. This is where the AI has to figure things out for itself, through good old-fashioned trial and error.
And that brings us right to our first big concept, reinforcement learning. This is all about letting an AI loose in an environment and having it figure out for itself the best series of moves to win.
So in this world, our AI is called an agent, and this agent interacts with an environment, which could be a video game, a simulation, anything really. Its goal is super simple. Take actions that get it the biggest possible reward. Basically, get the high score, win the game, complete the mission.
And this is the learning cycle, right here. The agent looks at the current state of the game, it tries an action, and it gets a reward, maybe points, maybe nothing. Then it sees the new situation, and it just does this again and again and again, millions of times, slowly building an intuition for what works and what doesn't.
And here's an absolutely brilliant example of this in action. DeepMind trained an AI to play the old Atari game Breakout. They didn't teach it any strategies, but just through trial and error, it discovered this expert-level pro move of tunneling the ball behind the wall to wipe out all the bricks at once, a strategy it came up with completely on its own.
Okay, so that's how an AI can master a game. But what about the large language models? The brains behind things like ChatGPT. Well, they've got a whole different set of challenges. Let's talk about how we're giving them a kind of external brain to get past those limits. So a standard LLM is amazing, but it's not perfect. For one, its knowledge is basically frozen in time at the moment its training ended. It can also, it can hallucinate, which is a nice way of saying it can just make stuff up with total confidence. Plus, it can't read a whole book at once, and it often can't tell you where it got its information. These are pretty big problems if you need answers that are reliable and current.
And here's just a perfect, real-world example of that knowledge cutoff problem. When the word cafe face suddenly popped into existence, all the existing language models had no clue what to do with it. They were totally stumped, because the world had moved on, but their internal dictionary hadn't.
So the solution is a really cool technique called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG for short. The best way to think about it is like giving the LLM a live, always-on connection to a custom library. So before it answers your question, it does a quick search to find the most relevant, up-to-the-minute facts to work with.
And here's the basic rundown of how it works. You take your documents, say your company's latest financial reports or today's news, and store them in a special database. When you ask a question, the system first finds the most relevant documents. Then it hands them to the LLM along with your question and basically says, okay, answer this, but only use the info I just gave you. The result? An accurate, sourced answer you can actually trust.
Okay, now we get to the really exciting part. We've seen how an AI can learn a winning strategy and how it can tap into current knowledge. So what happens when you put those two ideas together? Well, you get an AI that doesn't just answer your questions, it starts doing things for you.
And this is what we call agentic AI. It's a system that can take a complex goal, break it down into a step-by-step plan, and then actually use tools like a web browser or an API to execute that plan from start to finish. So imagine this. Instead of you having to do a dozen different searches on different websites, you just give the AI a high-level goal like this one. A normal chatbot would just choke on that. But an AI agent can actually handle it.
And here is where the magic happens. The agent actually makes a plan. It thinks to itself, okay, first, I need to use the flight search tool. Got it. Then I'll use the hotel booking tool. Then I'll generate a list of things to see. I'll check back with the user to make sure they like it. And finally, I'll use the payment tool to book everything. It reasons, and then it acts, all by itself.
So really, these new AI agents are built on three main pillars. You've got planning, which is creating the strategy. You've got tools, which are like the agent's hands for interacting with the digital world. And you have memory, so it remembers who you are and what you've talked about before, which makes every conversation smarter than the last.
So let's just zoom out for a second. An AI that can book your vacation can probably also manage your work calendar, or draft a sales report, or analyze a bunch of data. This isn't science fiction anymore. This is the new reality of how we're going to get work done. AI is shifting from being a tool you use to a collaborator you work with. So what does that mean for us, for our skills and our careers? Andrew nails it with this quote. If an AI can write perfectly good code instantly from a clear set of instructions, then the most valuable human skill isn't writing the code anymore, it's figuring out what code to write in the first place. The whole bottleneck shifts from execution to vision and strategy. And as these AI agents get better and better at writing code for us, we become much more responsible for the quality of our instructions. And that brings up this really critical idea: technical debt. Every quick and dirty fix an AI makes because we told it to creates a cost that we'll have to pay later. Just asking an AI to throw some code together without a solid plan is a recipe for a future headache.
I love this analogy for thinking about it. Not all debt is bad, right? Good technical debt is a strategic choice. It's like taking out a mortgage to buy a house, a calculated risk you take to build something valuable. Bad technical debt, though, that's like racking up high-interest credit card debt. It's messy, and eventually it's gonna come back to cripple you.
And the difference really comes down to human foresight. Good debt helps you meet clear objectives and deliver real value. Bad debt is just messy, spaghetti code that nobody on the team can understand a month later. An AI agent can generate either one. It all depends on the guidance we give it. It's our job to provide the clarity and the structure to make sure it's building something solid.
So we end with this question. We've seen the whole journey, from an AI that learns from experience, to one that can tap into all human knowledge, to one that can actually act as our autonomous coworker. In a world where AI can do more and more, the real question becomes, what is the uniquely human skill that you are going to focus on to guide it?